So as the engineer for 311 RS, I'm responsible for all the settings that go on the race car during the weekend. So that might be the angle of the wing, the suspension settings as far as the camber, toe, ride height, weight, anything that would affect the performance of the car. We have adjustable sway bars in this series, but we do not have adjustable shocks. Based on the feedback from the driver, which is a major part of my job, is to change the car to make the driver and the car sort of happy together. So I will listen to what he says, we will take physical measurements of the car, and at that point we'll decide what we're going to change to affect what he wants to have happen. The most common terms you'll hear are understeer, oversteer. Understeer being the front won't go, oversteer being the rear goes around the front. A good race car has a good balance where there's not too much of one or the other. You know, as engineer, that's the tough part, is that communication's the most key part between the engineer and the driver to get the car where it needs to be, and then also have to anticipate. So anticipating weather, track conditions, temperature, where are the tires going to go, where will the pressures end up. So it's kind of complicated at times. For this particular team, I help select the components we use. You know, what do we use to align the car? What do we use to service the car? I have 4 or 5 people that all directly need information from me, from the drivers to the crew. I work through the car chief to the crew. So I will instruct the car chief to make a change. He goes to the crew. Hopefully everything works seamlessly. If not, then I have to go into that process. This series is very limiting from an engineering standpoint because the cars are all designed to be the same. And so the adjustments I get are what's called rake. So that's done with the ride height. I can change angles, toe, things like that. Wing. That's kind of it, other than tire pressures, obviously. So if the driver comes in and complains of understeer, the tools I have are I can increase the rake, I could increase the rear bar, I could soften the front bar, I could lighten the wing. That's the critical part, is to find out where exactly the car is doing what. And we use a combination of the driver feedback and the data we get from the car's data system to decide what it is we're going to adjust for the specific complaint. Weather conditions the same. Rain versus dry, there's quite a change in the setup sometimes. I've worked with Lee many times in the past, and so, you know, we already have that rapport. First off, I know his preferences, and so I sort of know where to directionally take the car initially. Then we have Ryan, who's just soaking up all this information and learning at the same time we're learning, because we're finding what he likes, what he wants, and then comparing that to what Lee does. So in a 2-car team, it's a huge advantage for Ryan to be able to look at Lee's video, look at Lee's data, and learn faster. I mean, I always say that an hour in front of the video or data is worth 100 hours of actually driving and trying to figure it out yourself. And so one of the other things as the engineer is also helping drivers like Ryan improve his technique, thought process, strategy in the car. What's he thinking of? What does he need to be thinking of? That, I think, is a very important part as well beyond the setup portion. It's just to get the driver and the car to come together with me to get to the desired result.